What is going on, guys? It is Birds in the Trap MMA, and I'm back. I'm not back, I'm better, alright? And with that being said, today I've got a classic slideshow video for you guys. We're going to do some complaining, we're going to do some praising, we're going to do it all in this video, and we're going to be discussing what I think are truly the best divisions in the UFC, alright? Because I think there is a very popular narrative out there that it's the bantamweight and the lightweight division, alright? And those are some great divisions as of a couple of years ago. No, I'm not saying those divisions suck at all, but what I am going to be doing is making my claim for what the real best divisions in the UFC are. And this take is becoming kind of less of a hot take as time goes on, but I want to do my part in shifting the narrative a little bit. So with that being said, let's talk about it. Alright guys, with that being said, let's debunk some myths, alright? And what I mean by that is the bantamweight and the lightweight divisions, alright? Because when you ask most fans out there, those are their picks, alright? But let's break it down, alright? Because bantamweight, guys, bantamweight kind of has a lack of like up-and-coming contenders, alright? Because what I have on the screen for you guys are the guys that are like up-and-coming that I'm excited to see fight, alright? I may have missed a few, but those are the ones that I'm looking forward to seeing fight again, alright? And let's break down the problem with who's on the screen. Marcus McGee. This guy is already 34, okay? Come on, you know what I mean? Montel Jackson. Nothing really wrong there. I'm excited to see him fight. Peyton Talbot, coming off a loss. He got fraud checked that early into his career. And although I'm still excited to see him fight again, there's no denying that he does not have the same amount of hype. And you know, that last fight just was not the best look. I thought Talbot was going to win that fight. And then you got Vinicius Oliveira, who is actually just doing really well. Like, I can't wait to see him fight. But, you know, and then I say stagnant top 5 because who's really broken through recently? Umar Nurmagomedov. But that guy has one top 5 win. You know what I mean? And although I think he can beat other guys in the top 5, he's still just a little unproven. He could technically be on this list too as a... not a prospect. What am I talking about? Whatever. Alright, but, you know, who am I missing? Really, who am I missing? Ariel Helwani? Ayman Zahabi? Like, no. He's about to get pieced up by Aldo. Let's pray. Let's pray. Let's pray for that outcome. But, yeah, guys, so that's the bantamweight division for me. You know, don't get me wrong. There's a few other guys, but tell me who I'm missing, you know? Like, what is, like, exciting in the bantamweight division right now? Because I really feel like with the way it's talked about, the prospects just do not match the hype. I think with bantamweight, it's the top 5 that everyone loves. And I love the top 5 of bantamweight, you know? So I'm not saying that that's wrong, but you can't be the best division when you have like 5 guys on the come up. So that's my take on the bantamweight division. I love the bantamweight division. And then with the lightweight division, you know, the guys I have on screen, I'm stoked to see fight. You know what I mean? Like, Mauricio Rufy, there is absolutely no denying that guy is going to be something special, I think. You know, Joel Alvarez, super good fighter, but that guy is still not in the top 10. Like, I think he'll be in the top 10 for sure, right? But until then, you know, he's like barely ranked. I don't even know if he's ranked right now. Isn't that just absurd? Anyways, like, you're telling me Joel Alvarez can't beat Michael Chandler, who I know is above him? Like, come on now. And then you've got Mateusz Rebecki, and you got Miktabek Oralbai, and those guys beat the piss out of each other, and Oralbai lost, alright? And Rebecki, I'm pretty sure, is already a little older, but the issue with Rebecki is he just lost to Carlos Diego Ferreira. So it's like, what the fuck? You know, all these guys are like beating each other before we're like letting them blossom up. You know what I mean? Which that's the way it goes, right? You know, that's fine. But you know, who else? Chase Hooper. That's your like up and coming, like, let's see what he does next contender, right? And I like Chase Hooper. I like all these guys, but the younger fighters cannot break through in the lightweight division. I don't know what it is, but truly, we're going to have to wait for some lightweights to retire before we see some real movement. And I think we still got a few years. So that's my take on the lightweight division, all right? Both of these divisions kind of have a stagnant top 5. And the talent pool in the unranked and like bottom of the rankings is not as rich as I would hope it to be. Or at least it's not as rich as these next few divisions, all right? Because let's talk about what is the best division, you know? It's welterweight. It's welterweight. It's the welterweight division, which is insane because the welterweight division used to be the welterweight division. I remember making that joke, right? But there have been a lot of prospects breaking through, and the old guard has been getting beat. We have what needs to happen to lightweight happening right now at welterweight, all right? We have exciting title contenders for years to come. Not just like prospects, right? Title contenders. Let's see why welterweight is such an amazing division, all right? Everyone on the screen here is newly ranked at welterweight, okay? As in, like, they weren't in the rankings in, like, 23, right? So, I get some of them were, but just walk with me here, all right? Let's talk about the new welterweights, bro. It's fucking stacked. Look at the guys on screen, bro. Shavkat. I think Shavkat is a tad bit overrated, all right? Because that is what I think, all right? And I know that is becoming less of a hot take these days, but I've actually felt that way about Shavkat for a while. Check the channel, all right? It's there. So Shavkat, although I think he's overrated, you can't deny that he's an exciting contender and definitely a threat to the title. I think Bilal would beat him. But I think Shavkat could beat JDM. You know what I mean? So that right there, that's an exciting title contender. Bam! Bam! One down. Michael Venom Page, new addition to the UFC. I don't think he'll be like a champion in the welterweight division, but man, if you keep giving him good strikers, that is one more elite striker in the division that's going to put on good fights, all right? Michael Venom Page, badass. Fucking Carlos Prates, who's about to knock out Ian Gary. That's right, I changed my pick. I thought Gary was going to smudge him. I believe in the aura, all right? You got Prates on the way up, who I believe is going to keep knocking guys out. Maybe not become a champion, but he will be a staple in the top 10. I guarantee that. Michael Morales, all right? That's another guy who knocked out Neil Magny, just like Prates, but he did it actually a little more impressive, if you ask me, with a spinning elbow. That's pretty cool. So I know that Michael Morales has kind of had some slower fights, and he's had some fights where I'm like, why is it that close? You know what I mean? But still, I think he's going to keep getting better. And he's fighting Gilbert Burns. I love Gilbert Burns, but he is the old guard. You know what I mean? He is going to lose to Michael Morales. Joaquin Buckley. This guy is, in my opinion, the biggest threat to the title right now with Bilal. I think Buckley is a fucking problem in this division. He's already, 5-0? I think he's 5-0 in this division. Come on. 5-0 in the division. You got JDM fighting for the belt. I think JDM's going to beat Bilal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still not set on that. All right, don't hold me to it. But I think JDM is probably going to win the title. And then you got Sean Brady, who just dominated Leon Edwards. And although he is a wrestler, he is super skilled, all right? And I think if Sean Brady were to fight the champion, Bilal, then it's completely different, you know what I mean, than their first fight. I think Sean Brady isn't going to let that shit happen again. So, I mean, just look at the talent pool right here, guys. Like, these are all guys that are new to the ranking. As in, 2 years ago, they weren't there. Maybe Shavkat, maybe Sean Brady, but everyone else, man. And you still have the old guard. Think about it. You still have the older guys that are going to have a few more fights. You know what I mean? And they're going to fight these guys. It's going to be fucking bangers. And I bet Shavkat, Buckley, Brady, maybe Prates, I bet they're all going to be title contenders. All right? They might beat each other, like, over the next few months. Like, a few of them might lose. But I think it's going to get to the point where the division is so stacked where you got a guy on a 1 or 2 fight win streak, boom, you're in there for the title. You know what I mean? The only thing I can say about the welterweight division is that the title is a little inactive. I hope the title gets contested again this year, because it was only once last year. So I think the activity from the top of the division does still need some work, but man, welterweight's the best division, all right? Come at me, because I just told you why it is. With that being said, guys, there's my spiel about the welterweight division. But the next best division, you know, because we're talking lightweight and bantamweight, which means we got to have welterweight and middleweight. It's fucking middleweight, dude. Middleweight went from one of the worst divisions to one of the best divisions right now. There's new title contenders, and there's fun prospects, man. Middleweight is a poppin' division right now. Middleweight, a couple years ago, you know, I'd say like 2020 to 2023 was just a fucking... It was not Murderer's Row, alright? Because when you have guys like Marvin Vettori in title fights, come on, man. Derek Brunson was about to get a title shot, you know, if he had beat Cannonier. What the fuck else, you know? Middleweight was a mess. You guys watch the sport. You know middleweight was kind of messy and really just talked about as one of the worst divisions. And although I do agree that the skill of middleweight still isn't crazy high, it's definitely no bantamweight or lightweight, let's talk about the fucking contenders right now, man. We got it set up again, but I would argue this one's even more stacked than welterweight. These are newer middleweight contenders, alright? All these guys are either unranked or like newly ranked, all within the last few years. So, I mean, starting from left to right, Rainer de Ritter. I put Rainer de Ritter because I think he's going to beat Bo Nickel, and that guy is fun. You know what I mean? I love the whole narrative of he's Drickus 2.0. Like, I'm excited to see RDR fight. And I don't know necessarily he'll be a champion, but I think he'll stay a ranked guy, you know, just by beating, not scrubs, but he'll beat the lower ranked guys in the most goofy and awkward way. And I think it'll be fun to watch. All right? Anthony Hernandez, bro. Fucking banger fighter. Underrated fighter. Got some good names on his resume already, and only looks to be getting better. All right? So I don't know who he's going to fight next because it seems like the Barajo fight has moved on. But I don't know who Hernandez is going to fight, but that's another guy. And I think he's top 10 now. So I'm excited to see him fight. There's two. You want to keep talking? Let's talk Caio Barajo. Caio Borralho. We got the fighting nerds in the middleweight division, bro. You got fighting nerds here. It's all good. And he's coming off that dominant win over Cannonier. And it sounded like him and Imavov were about to fight. It seems like that might not happen now. But I think Caio is a dark horse against anyone in the top 5. Because he's technically not in the top 5. But I think he can give problem. Like, I'd pick him to beat Izzy at this point. I'd pick him to beat Whitaker. You know, I'd probably beat him to beat... Holy crap. I'd probably beat him. I would not beat him. I would pick him to beat Strickland. Holy fuck. But, so, Caio Barajo, that's a super dangerous up-and-coming fighter. Nasruddin Imavov just knocked the fuck out of Izzy Adesanya. I love that. I like Imavov, you know? I think Imavov is, like, arguably more deserving than Khamzat. So there's that, you know what I mean? He's on a cool little win streak. Sure, he lost to Strickland, but I guarantee he would beat Strickland in a rematch. So, you know, you got Imavov, all right? And then you got Khamzat Chimaev. As if it needed to get better, you have Khamzat Chimaev. Now, I know Khamzat's been in the UFC for a while, but he's new to the top 5 of middleweight. So, fucking Khamzat and DDP, you know, they're going to fight eventually, and that is going to be insane. And if they do Khamzat versus Caio for the interim belt, which is what I'm hearing, I think we're going to see Khamzat with a belt. And it's just going to make that unification fight even bigger. So, I like it. I like Khamzat. All right, and then these last 3 are unranked or maybe like just outside the rankings, but definitely on the come up, and like I'm excited to see. Roman Kopylov just knocked out Chris Curtis. A little controversial, but still did really well in the fight. And I think he's going to be a super fun striker to watch. He has lost to Anthony Hernandez, so I don't know if he'll be like a top 5 guy, but he's gonna fight Costa, and if he beats Costa, I think he's gonna remain a staple in the rankings. Cesar Almeida, this guy is super fun to watch, and Cesar Almeida, I'm excited. I just had to look and make sure he's in the middleweight division, because I put him here because he's in the middleweight division, but I'm like, wait, he beat Poteria, who was at 205, so I just had to check, and Cesar Almeida's in the middleweight division, alright, and he is a little older, but I think on the feet he's already experienced, he's already ready. So if you give him fun striking matchups, that's a guy that's going to be a fun fighter to watch. And then you got Salty Joe Pyfer, who is just, I think he's just going to road rage his way to the top. You know what I mean? Maybe not top of the division, but top 10, I can see Pyfer being a top 10 guy. So with that being said, guys, that's the middleweight division. That is a stacked roster of prospects and contenders. I'm loving these divisions, yo. And with that being said, that's the end of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like I said, I really believe the welterweight division is the best division, and middleweight is right behind it. And I think mainly I'm making this because that take is going to age well. Alright, these divisions in a few years, they're going to be popping. You know what I mean? Lightweight and bantamweight might get more popping in those years, to the point where it's like, okay, well, clearly it's these two. I can accept that. But right here, right now, with the way things are going, and especially the drama in the lightweight division, man, these are the best divisions, alright? It's been Birds in the Trap MMA. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.